Hey you and welcome. My name is Dan. In this whole video I'll go over PlugShare, which is a great app for finding EV charging stations. Now if you're planning on buying an electric vehicle in the future, or maybe you have an electric vehicle already and you just want to know where those charging stations are in your area or along a trip route, PlugShare is great for that. And you may wonder, well why would I need PlugShare or need to plug in my car at all? Plug it in at the house, right? Well, not everyone has electricity in where they're living at. Perhaps you live in an apartment where the car is located. There's no outlets there in that location. So you need to charge it at an EV charging station. What PlugShare does is it shows you a map, shows you all the locations in your area, shows you the cost if there is a cost, and even the rate or how fast that EV charging station will charge your car. Now, if you are doing a long trip, I do recommend a Better Route Planner, and that can be found at betterrouteplanner.com. Now, a Better Route Planner will actually plan out your route from A to B and show you all of the charging stations along your path or along your route and how long you'll be at each of those stations, as well as if there's any cost involved. It shows you that up front, which is great. So a Better Route Planner is great for long trips, but for those day-to-day occurrences when you just need to find an EV station in your area ASAP, hey, PlugShare is there for you. So let's take a look at this app, you and I. Come on. Hey, here we are in my Chromebook. Now this is at plugshare.com, and I do have a link of that down in the description. So if you notice here at the very lower right hand corner, you'll notice that it says 125 charging locations and in your map area. So just within a dozen miles or so from that blue dot would represent your location. You see there's 125 different charging stations. All right, so there's a number of those. And you notice that those stations, they have different colors. Some are green and some are like that brownish color. The green ones are just a public charging station, and that's usually level 2, so it's a slower charge rate, but many of those are free. And the other ones, the brown ones, those are fast DC chargers. All right, so let's actually start using this, and you notice that if I go in and there's the blue dot right there, that's your location or my location currently. And let's click on one of these. So let's say that I need a charge, so I'm going to click on this one right here, Central Valley Transportation Center. Notice it shows the name of the location, below that is the address, and then you see these numbers in green. What are those numbers? Well, those are the ratings. So every time someone checks in or logs in at that station, they can say, hey, it worked, or it did not work. And there we see a number there at 7.4. So that means that sometimes one or more of the stations may have a problem. So let's go ahead and let's click on this. There we are. So let me move to the other side. Right here at the very top, you see a photograph of the location, which is kind of nice. Next, we see the name again. We see the score, 7.4. Again, I wish it was 10, but it's not. You can click on the green arrow, meaning you're checked in. And this button here, the little blue, the 3 dots, those represent you can share it. So if you're charging at a location, say, hey, I have an EV buddy, and you want them to know where you're at, you can share the location with someone else, maybe someone in your party there, and they can charge at that location too. Below that, you see what they actually have, what plugs do they have. So notice here it says J1772 and CHAdeMO. I'll get into those plugs in more detail, especially if you're new to EVs and what that means. Next, we see 50 kilowatts, and that's the rate or the flow of electricity there from the station to your car. And I'll talk more about that there too when we get into that. Below that, you'll see if you've checked into that location, it'll show you when you've last checked into that location. And next, we see a star. The star is if you want to add it to your bookmarks. So right when you, or the very first time that you get into PlugShare, you create what's called a user profile, as you see above me. and that's where you give it what kind of EV that you have. And you say, well, why do I need to put that in? Well, because not all EVs are the same. The plugs are different. So if you have a Ford, a GM, a Hyundai, Honda EV, all of those, they're going to be taking the CCS charging port. And if you have a Mitsubishi Nissan, they take CHAdeMO. And all of them, by the way, are allowed to plug into the J1772. So regardless of what kind of vehicle you have, they all have that. Even a Tesla will plug into a J1772 plug. My car has the adapters for CHAdeMO as well as all the others. So if there's any station out there I can plug into. Alright, so let's look into this. Say if I want to add this to my bookmarks, click on bookmark, and it says bookmarks been added. That's above me. So if you click on bookmarks, you notice that I've added a few here, and I can just click on it and it takes me to that station there. Next, I can add a photo. So if you have your camera with you or your phone, you can take a photo of the station if it needed it. Directions, if you really don't know where it is, you just click on directions and it opens up Google Maps and then gives you step-by-step directions to that charging station. And you notice it has the word edit. So if something is wrong here as far as the description, then you can add information to it. First thing off, of course, we see is the address. Next, we see a phone number. That's the phone number to the operator or to the owner or the property owner of where the station is actually located. So that's kind of nice to have. Parking, is it free or is it charged? There are some locations around the world where you have to pay for your parking. And it's going to tell you, is it free or is it charged? If there is a charge, it'll tell you how much per hour. Below that we have amenities. So that's the star there, the little white star and the blue circle. We have Wi-Fi at that location, and we have EV parking. Well, what does EV parking mean? That means it's reserved for EVs only. Below that we see the hours of operation, 8 to 8 when the gates are open. So there are many of these that are open 24/7, but some locations they have a gate that locks up, and so there you want to make sure that you get your car before 8. And next we find a location of where it is in that property. So here it says in the south parking lot of the Central Valley Transportation Center. And you say, well, why would that need to ever change? Because some of these stations are actually a portable station that moved from one side of the station or one side of the EV parking lot to the other side of the parking lot. And so I have seen it where a location has been changed from one side, like the south side, to the north side. So if that ever changes, we just click on edit and then give a little update there. Next we see plugs, and we see two kinds of plugs there. So the J1772 plug, and that's what it looks like. And what we're looking at is any EV that you might buy, that's going to work. All right, so you can plug in with any EV. It doesn't matter whether it's Ford, GM, Hyundai, a Polestar, Tesla. Guess what? It's going to fit into that station there. And next we see the CHAdeMO plug there, and that's what the CHAdeMO or CHAdeMO looks like. So it's a really large plug here. And then here's Tesla. So if you want to compare it to Tesla, there is a size difference there. The car does come with adapters. So if you bought, let's say that you bought a Hummer EV, you probably do have adapters to go into these other stations or to these other plugs, and we'll be seeing the other plugs here in a moment. Normally you have a number right after the where it says how many plugs you have. So notice on the CHAdeMO you have 50 kilowatts, and basically that's going to give you 50 kilowatt of power per hour. So you might say 50 kilowatts per hour. And this is where it comes in handy to know what size battery you have. So for the Tesla I have about 80 kilowatt hours. So if I was on empty, it takes 80 kilowatts hours to fill it up. And this station here provides 50 kilowatts per hour. And So you know I'm going to be there for about an hour and a half or so to get a full fill up if I was on empty at that particular station. You say, well, what about this one? It doesn't have a number. Well, the J1772s, that's pretty standard. That's between 7 and 8 kilowatts. So that means every hour you get about 7 to 8 kilowatt hours out of that type of a plug. And you might say, wow, that's going to take a while. Well, the reality is not every car has a huge battery pack like the Tesla. Let's look at the Mitsubishi i-MiEV, which was a popular EV a few years back. They have a 16 kilowatt hour battery pack. So you're going to be there for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours there to fill up at the slow rate. Below that, we see check-ins. So if you look at the bottom there, we see check-ins, and you'll notice that, hey, everyone there, they have a name and what kind of car they charged up there, and then what was the rate that they charged at. So here we see 7 kilowatts. That's the rate they charged at, and then the date. They can leave a message there. So here it says easy parking or easy parking, free charging, and so there'll be other notes there. If there's a station that's down, they'll say that as well down here, that if they've ever experienced a problem with that station. If you scroll down, we see photos. So here's photos there. So it's kind of nice to have that because maybe you're very close to the site and you want to see what it looks like, where are the stations, and there you can actually see it. And you notice that we have some shade there, and there are solar panels there on site. So this is a solar powered station. So it's nice to have these photos here. Okay, below that we have the nearby locations. So if you want to see other charging stations there within a few miles of that, you can see it where it says nearby locations. So that's really, really handy to have there. Okay, so let's zoom in closer here, and let's get into another station that has more plug options. So let's go to this one right here off of Highway 99. And here's one, it's the Fairfield Inn and Suites, and it gets a rating of 10. So hey, those are expected to always be working, and you see there's many different charging options for you. They're all the way from J1772, CCS, CHAdeMO, and then Tesla. So they're all there at that location. Again, you get the address, the phone number, and here we see payment is required. So it's not a free location there as we had before. And if you scroll down a little bit here, you'll notice there's the plugs. So that very first one there is the J1772. Again, that's for any EV is going to be able to plug there. There's 2 stations. Next is the CCS. And the CCS, it doesn't show it to scale, but it is going to be larger. It's not going to be quite as large as this one, but it's going to be larger there than the J1772. Next is CHAdeMO. There's your CHAdeMO plug. And then after that is the Tesla. All right. So you have that. And then you have the people who have actually gone there, and you see when they were there and what was their rate of charge. How fast were they charging there? All right. So let's go down the list here, down to Traver. And let's click on that one there. Okay, so let's say that you did buy a Tesla. Now I do recommend actually going with the Tesla if you're going to go for long trips. And the reason being is because let's look at the difference in the charge rate. Here's a supercharger. It's 250 kilowatts. So every hour that you're there, you're getting 250 kilowatts of power. And that means you're going to be able to charge your Tesla in about 20 minutes or less there. And that's great. It gives you 250 kilowatts per hour, and your battery is only 80, so it charges up quickly. And if you go down here, again, you see the address. There's a phone number for the property owner or the operator. If I zoomed in here a little bit better, you can see there's actually many stations all around that area. Next is how much is it? Now this is the, normally you have two pay rates. There's the on peak or the off peak pay rate. So this is the on peak, which is 47 cents per kilowatt hour, and the off peak is usually about half that. And I have charged there at night, you know, it was like 11 o'clock at night or so, and it was about 23 cents or so per kilowatt hour at that location. If you charge there during the peak hours, 47 cents. The parking itself, though, you can be there as long as you want. Parking is free. There's dining, restaurants, or in the restaurants there's restrooms, EV parking, of course, shopping, and a gift store. There you'd only have one option, the Tesla, and then the rate is 250 kilowatts there. And then below that we have one of the places where actually I was there not too long ago, and there you get to see it was 250 kilowatts was what I received there. It says a nice gift shop, clean restrooms, good restaurant. That's right. All right, so that's PlugShare. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you into the Tesla and show you basically how to use the Tesla built-in charging location app there. It's really easy to use in your Tesla. Okay, here we are in the Tesla. So what I'm going to do is hit the microphone button there and say navigate to Tesla Supercharger. And in a moment or two, you'll load up all the nearby chargers that are in the area. And I can click on one. You'll plan a route to it. So next one I want to show you is you can actually put in just the destination supercharger that you want to be at. And that could be across the country, and then it will put in all of the waypoints or all of the other charging stations or stops that you'll have between or along the way. Navigate to Ardmore, Oklahoma, Tesla Supercharger. So there we go. It found the Ardmore, Oklahoma Tesla Supercharger station there. And what I'm going to do is click on navigate to it. And what it's going to do is going to calculate the best path, the best route, and all of the charging points along the way, which is kind of nice. So there you go. So it makes travel long distances rather easy. And there you go. So there you have it. Now you know about PlugShare, and it could be found at plugshare.com. I do have a link to that website down below. If you're using it on your phone, you can find it at your store there, and it is a free app, and has all those resources there, whether you're using it on your phone or on a computer. And the other one there is a Better Route Planner. That's great if you're taking long trips. If you like these types of videos, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below. So if you have a question about charging your car or anything to do with technology, such as your Windows machine or your Chromebook, or even if you have an idea for another video in the future that you want me to do, or a question that you want me to answer, I'll be happy to do that. Just leave those down in the comments there, and I always get to those as soon as I can. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel. And I wish just to say thank you to everyone. And by the way, my little dog there, that is Ushi. And say hi to everyone, Ushi. Ushi! She's, yeah, she's kind of quiet now. But anyway, hey, so thank you again, and you all have a very good day. Bye-bye.